Hello Longhorn.
Hello Longhorn.
Hello Longhorn.
It's really fun. The world of Longhorns is so small, like when you really think about it. And the fact that yesterday you had Branch Basics on your podcast, Branch Basics is coming on this podcast. They're Longhorns, you're Longhorns.
I love it. It's so cool.
It's a small world.
They were literally headed to yours after mine.
I know.
I was like, oh, so nostalgic for UT.
Because when they said they were coming in, they were like, hey, can we move it to this day? Because we're actually doing another podcast. And I said, well, I bet I know what podcast you're doing.
That's crazy.
And they were like,
it.
yes, it is Natalie's podcast.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
Well, I want to know your story about why you chose UT.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, from Austin.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like everyone wants to go to UT, like especially if you're from Austin, and it's hard to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like kind of on the vision board. But I actually was like, I actually want to go to New York first. And then I went to FIT for 2 years and I said, oh my gosh, wait, I need to go to UT actually. So then I transferred and graduated from UT. So I kind of just like I ultimately always wanted to go to UT. And then I went to New York for a couple of years and was like, I need to get that UT graduate.
Is that because you wanted to go into fashion? Like, is that why you went to New York?
And I think I just like wanted to experience New York City, but then I immediately was like, I actually need to go back to Austin and go to UT. UT was always on the vision board, whether like for business school or something, but I was like, I got to get there after 2 years.
So when you came back, were you a government major?
I was, yeah.
Okay, that seems like a really big difference from FIT.
It's crazy. I think the moral of the story is I had no idea what I wanted to do. At one point, I was going to be a kindergarten teacher. Then I was a government major. And then I was a fashion merchandising major at FIT. And so the story is like, I just was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then, of course, I landed in a fitness business. So
Yeah.
it's just the path of figuring it out.
Okay, so you just said you had no idea what you were going to do, but did you have an idea of what you were going to do, like when you left UT?
When I left UT, I think it was the time where it was really hard to get a job in general. And so it was kind of like any person that would hire you, you would take that job. And I fell into a job in advertising. And then I really started to like advertising. So then I spent the next probably 7 or 8 years working at different ad agencies in Austin, like Latin Works,
cool.
P&G. And then I went to some ad agencies in New York and LA. And so I really just like learned a ton in advertising. So I always say, if you don't know what you want to do, obviously work for a startup, that's number one, but also work in advertising because you really like learn how to be creative, really resourceful, like you learn about production. And I credit like a lot of Bala's success into the fact that my husband and I worked in advertising and got like that, bootstrap education in advertising.
I was an advertising major. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I never did advertising, but the first thing the professor here said was that like, you're never going to look at anything the same again. And I was like, that's true. No matter what job you do, you're always going to be selling something, no matter what type of job. It might not be in the traditional sense, but you're going to be selling what you want to do within a company. And so but I never worked in an advertising.
But I mean, getting your degree in advertising is probably another really good thing to do. Just if you don't know what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like I wish I would have just done that instead of going from government to early education major.
Well, okay. So and if you don't have an answer, this is fine. But I think back to college and I think about all the small moments are now these big moments in the sense of like my memories are going to Tower Records, RIP, which is no longer here, to like get an NSYNC album or because I'm old, or like walking Town Lake with friends.
Yeah.
But when you look back, what were some of the small things that still stand out to you?
It was going to Black Swan Yoga. And it's like, that kind of makes sense for Bala. Going to Black Swan Yoga, living like off of 6th Street with friends. Also lived on campus when I went to UT. Town Lake, getting a juice and walking Town Lake. I mean, I did that. I ran back then, so I would run Town Lake all the time. Riding my bike through campus.
Yeah.
Actually, Einstein Bagel, which that's just a mainstream shout out, but I just remember always studying and like getting Einstein Bagels. Also Tiff Streets. We had a really big problem with Tiff Streets. My roommate and I had to order it before we started studying.
That was what you did.
Yeah.
And then it helped with the studying.
It helped, exactly.
I think they have one in LA now.
Do they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to learn about that.
So after school, you went into advertising. And what were you doing?
I was like a junior account manager. So like assistant account manager, whatever the title was, fell into a job at P&G. I don't know if it's still around, but it was this very small boutique ad agency. But then I ended up getting a job at Latinworks, which I feel like is more well-known, and working on funner accounts like Bud Light. And that's when I really got into advertising, because I was like, I don't know, 23, and it was so fun to be able to like work on a Bud Light shoot. It was just exciting to see, you know, you work on a campaign and then you get to see it come to life via like a commercial or out of home. And so I think it's like you get to work really hard on a project and then see it come to life, which you don't always get to see that in certain career paths.
Did you end up being part of the creative team ever?
No, I wasn't.
Interesting.
I know.
It's your brand to me.
It's so creative.
It's so creative.
But no, even my husband, he was on new biz. And so neither of us are like technically creatives, although everyone's creative. They just have to tap into it.
Yeah. Okay. So the story goes, let's talk about Bala. You're in advertising, and then you guys, were on a vacation? Is that what it was?
Well, yeah.
You and your husband, and you were on a vacation.
Yeah. Well, we had actually just like started dating, and we both worked at an ad agency called 72 and Sunny in LA. And this agency, this is pre-COVID. So it's like banker hours. Like you work till midnight and then you come back the next morning at 8 or 9 a.m. for a presentation. Like you never leave the office. There's like beer and wine on tap. They make it fun. You're young. There's like parties. And so never leave the office. We were essentially very burnt out. And we said, let's do like the gap year thing, but like a couple, you know, more like late 20s gap year. And let's take a break, go on like a year-long journey. And then worst case, we come back, we get jobs in advertising because we had good resumes. So we quit our jobs.
In time out, you said you just had started dating?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the thing. I think I always think like, what's the worst that could happen? And in that scenario, the worst that could happen, you break up and you fly back home.
That's true. Because like, at that point, you're an adult. You can buy a plane ticket. You can peace out.
And you just go find another job. Maybe you have to take a step back on that job. But I was like, that's worst case. Best case, this could be like a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this later when I have 3 kids, you know? So I was like, it was a now or never. And we were traveling. And again, I was always very into yoga. And we did this class where it was in Indonesia. It was a very easy and meditative class, and we wanted to sweat. We wanted the class to be harder. So we were talking about like added resistance, and we started talking about like dumbbells. They used those at a place called Core Power Yoga that I went.
Yep.
But really, we landed on wrist and ankle weights, and how all of our moms wore them in the 80s. It's a fad that went away, but it's like actually a useful tool to add resistance. Like, you get a better workout. It increases bone density. It's a good tool. We're like, why doesn't anyone wear wrist and ankle weights anymore? And especially since we're from advertising and like branding things, we were like, you know, let's maybe bring that back the way that like Quip did for a cool toothbrush. And so actually my husband is the product designer, and he like had the first sketch, and it looks the same, the Bala Bangles, but we designed it there knowing nothing about product design, and he like drew it out, and that was our first prototype.
Did you like Google like old wrist weights?
Well, we did do some research, like it felt so obvious, like why doesn't this exist? But also if you've never heard of something, there's still room in the market, but it didn't exist. The only thing that existed was the old school jazzercise weights, and we were like, this is going to be this could be a thing.
And I like to ask, like, so it's cool that you had this like aha moment, but we have those all the time, right? Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you follow through. Like it would have been cute to draw it out and be like, well, that's cute. And then you pack it away, and then you never follow through. What do you think about this idea is what you followed through on?
Yeah, I think that's super interesting because, you know, there's been like tons of ideas. And then why did we fall through in this one? I think we just made like almost like a mantra, like a step where we said every day we're going to take steps towards this like side business. Like literally we were calling it a side business, and we just said, let's take baby steps and like see what happens.
Because you didn't quit you ended up getting another full-time job.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we worked for 2 years on the business, if not longer, before we actually quit. We didn't quit our jobs till we like aired on Shark Tank, basically. Okay. So we were so conservative with quitting our jobs. We just kept taking steps. And like, I think along the way, there were moments of validation where people really loved it, and that kept us going. But yeah, I don't know why we actually kept going. We just said, let's keep taking steps, and we just took baby steps until it became a thing.
Was it always going to be Bala?
The name?
Yeah.
Well, we named it early on. We named the whole brand Bala Bangles, which didn't make sense at the time. It should just be, and then we dropped Bangles early days. But yeah, we liked that name. Like in Sanskrit, it meant like childlike and strength. So we were like, that's what we want the brand to evoke. And so yeah, it was Bala.
How long between you had that idea and you had a prototype?
A long time, like a year.
A year.
Yeah.
And you were putting your own money into it.
We put $4,000. That was like all we had.
Okay.
So that's the only money really that we put into it. Maybe like $100 to get like a Shopify site here and there. But yeah, we put all the money that we had into the prototype, and and we kind of like send the money and like hope they give you a prototype, because you're just we were working with overseas suppliers. So kind of just sending it and hoping. But then we got a year to the prototype, and probably from there 6 months to like launch on Shopify.
And then you guys did a Kickstarter campaign.
We did a Kickstarter.
That was what year? Like
2017.
Okay.
And then I think we were shipping product by 2018.
It feels like even then, like I didn't even know. Like sometimes I feel like the Kickstarter ship has sailed, but I guess it worked for y'all.
It worked. And now I think there's there's a different set of rules to it, but it worked for us because I think the brand would have died had we not done Kickstarter, because we needed $40,000 for our first production run. And I didn't even know to like raise money, or I didn't know how to get that money really. And so Kickstarter was our way to get the money.
And you got 40,000 off
We got
Kickstarter.
40,000.
And that meant that you had X amount of customers also that were going to get the original product.
Exactly.
And they have it.
So it was also proof of concept, because it was like, oh, that many people actually would buy this. That's a legit side biz.
Was that you emailing all your friends, or was it starting to be people you had never met before?
It was a combo. I think there was a moment where we weren't going to make it, and I started like sending an email, like, sorry if you got an email from me, because I emailed everyone I knew at that point. And so that was probably quite a bit of it, maybe 25%. But then it was like randoms for sure.
Well, and I know everybody talks to you about Shark Tank. It's like one of
you got to touch on it.
Target the Shark Tank. So how long were y'all selling before you went on Shark Tank?
So 2 years.
2 years. And were sales like pretty good?
We hit 2 million on year 2, which is for a bootstrap company, like that was for us very exciting. And then we hit 2 million on year 2, and then Shark Tank happened. And 2 weeks later, February 28th, 2020, the world shut down due to the pandemic. And then that's when like it really took off.
And it took off. Okay, so 2 million bootstrap, meaning you had not gotten any money. You were just putting in the money that you were getting. You go on Shark Tank and the world shuts down, but then lucky for you, everybody wanted in-home weights. You couldn't get them anywhere.
It was that and toilet paper.
And it's so funny because we had another woman on the show who also went on Shark Tank, and the complete opposite happened to her. First of all, Fran Harris, she had an electrolyte business. She had only been in business for 10 days. So she used it as a launch. And because of COVID, her electrolytes just stayed on a ship in the middle of the ocean. So her business ended after Shark Tank because it was Shark Tank. I swear, y'all must have been back-to-back episodes. Her Shark Tank episode airs and it just tanks the company. Your episode airs and it's the complete opposite. And it kind of just launches y'all into another ether.
I think COVID did that for people. It's like if you look at like restaurant businesses, they went out of business. It's like the ones that were, high in demand, like the hand sanitizer, like the cute one, like that one skyrocketed. Like if you were like anything in cookware or home improvement, So I think COVID, unfortunately, it was either like catastrophic or amazing for your business.
Well, and you said, I like to wing podcasts, but I know you did not wing Shark Tank. Like you put in research. So for those wanting to go on Shark Tank, like share a little bit about how much you prepared for that moment.
Yeah. And we did. Yeah. There's a lot of preparation that goes in. Podcasts like to wing because you want them to feel natural, like a conversation. But Shark Tank, especially because if you're going on, you're likely a first-time founder. You're likely pretty early stage too. And so maybe you haven't pitched to investors yet. Like it's a whole different thing. So for preparation for Shark Tank, what I did is I watched every single episode and we made a master Google Doc of potential questions that they pepper you with. And we peppered each other with those so that any potential question, we knew the answer. So we did that, and we obviously memorized our skit like crazy.
Yeah.
And then I think the day before, this was crucial too. The day before, we like ordered pizza and wine, and we had friends over to be the fake judges. Like we had like Mark Cuban and Kevin, and their whole point was to pepper every question and to pick us apart so that we'd be fine with like the stress chest. So that was to prepare. And then the producers also help you to prepare because they're like, you know, you got to be careful because when you get out there, it's an hour of them peppering you with questions, and they don't have a law and order to them. They're just all asking the same questions, and you have to say like, hold on, Kevin, I'll get to you after I get to Mark. And so you have to control the room. So I think it's also like an energy thing. Like you had to get in the right mindset. So I was like listening to like podcasts on public speaking and like doing like public speaking meditations, like trying to get like the Zen energy to me. You know, going in front of the mirror and rehearsing. Like I did everything.
Did it work? Like it worked because you guys got money.
I think it worked. Yeah, because we went out there and like we felt energized and prepared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so it helped. You know, get us there. We went in wanting $300,000, and we walked away with 900, and I was like, $1 million. Like at the time seemed insane. So I was like, whoa, like this business is gonna work. It was this feeling of like this business we've been like grinding at for 2 to 3 years is gonna work.
Well, and this is the other interesting thing. You get this money, you weren't necessarily, like you just said, 3 times more than you thought. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden orders are coming in and you guys can't keep it in stock because of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. That could also tank a company. Like you must have made some good decisions in that time. Like looking back, are you like, we did it?
It was so challenging because the business grew from like 2 million to 20 million in a year.
Oh my gosh.
And we had like no team or infrastructure. Like we were just so green at building a business. So truly, I think we made like every mistake. So we did everything the wrong way to then like a year to 2 years later, figure out the right way. And now we're finally running like a profitable, well-oiled machine business. But I really think we like did most things the wrong way, just from what our gut thought. And we didn't have, you know, like C-suites on the team that had been there before. We were just figuring it out along the way. So we did everything the wrong way to then learn the right way.
Man, that's hard too.
That was tough.
Like you probably look back and you're like, if I knew what I know now.
Oh, I'd be like thousands of steps ahead.
But also you have to just be prepared as an entrepreneur, I would assume, to just take what's given to you.
Exactly. And just like stay in business.
Stay in business.
And I think some of these things could have tanked us. I remember the customer complaints coming in because they were just pissed that we were shipping orders late or not in stock. And I was like,
didn't have the color we wanted.
Exactly. Like also the stress, the collective stress of all of us. It's like, you know, no one knew what was happening. There was, you know, we were all sheltering in place. So people were like projecting their anger and their stress out onto us. It was a really stressful time, but we got through it and we stayed in business.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, I mean, the OG, I guess your product is you have so many more now, but it is the bangles. Was it just 1 pound that you were selling at that time?
At that time, it was just 1 pound.
And how many colors? Like 4?
Probably 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
So they were really cute. You still have them. They're little weights on your wrist or your ankles, however you want, but they're fashionable. And I don't even know how they entered into the ether. Like they just were there. Like I don't remember them launching. I don't even know if I saw your Shark Tank, but they were just cool and they were there and it made sense.
COVID and it was there.
COVID. Yeah,
literally.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, y'all have so many products now that I have been noticing. Like I feel like you went really like slow on one, and now all of a sudden like it's so many products like all the time. So like what was that always the plan?
I think that was always the plan. We started to see other people like enter the space and try to like use the Bala language, and we were like, we need to like kind of rush at this. And so now we're just like it was always the plan to like Balify every
Ballify?
Ballify. Yeah, ballify every product that you interact with at the gym and create like net new products like the beam, which is the long bar. Like that's never been, there's a few like never been before seen products, but a lot of them are more functional or more design led, like different yoga mat. Like all yoga mats were rectangular. They all look the same. And we were like, let's make them cuter shapes and make them, you know, the whole premise is to inspire people to work out. So it's not just about more functional, cuter equipment. It's actually like you have your gym set up at home and you're seeing it. And as a result, you want to work out more. You want to actually move with your products more. Or, you know, you have an hour to go on a walk, you put your bangles on and you get a better workout.
Yeah. And it's not just these bold primary colors that they were before are just gray weights. And you have a kettlebell now that's like in pastels.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's just more fun. And also no one was talking to women. It was all like we're talking at this point like 7-8 years ago, everything was like extremely masculine. Mm-hmm. All that silver or black, like there was no silicone in the gym category in general. And so we were like, why does everything look the same? We need to like talk to women and make products that are more functional and fun to use.
How long did it take you to come to that? Like in the beginning, you're like wristlets. Was that always the ultimate goal to ballify all?
No, that came along the way. So we like launched and bangles were a hit. And I think by the time we aired on Shark Tank, we were like, we needed to do other products. And we knew that. Yeah, but we did go slow in that area. Like some people would launch with a whole product roadmap, at least planning, but we didn't do that until like probably a year or two in, where we said, wait, we need to like, this is our brand language. We have a lot of work to do.
So I would assume with a product like yours, you're having different celebrities buy it. You got on the Gwyneth Paltrow Goop list, you know, you were on Shark Tank. And I don't like false peaks isn't the right, but like I would assume in the beginning, there were just so many highs and you were thinking, this is it. This is the thing that's going to launch us. And sometimes it does. And sometimes it doesn't. But like, were you being flooded with celebrities using your product or getting on the Goop list? Did that just seem like we've made it? Or did none of that matter to you?
Oh, everything mattered. Okay. And it still does. Okay. Yeah, like there were just like moments of like being in a Shape magazine. Like I can remember, especially early days, like all of the very key, exciting moments. And you feel like this moment, this like dopamine hit of like, oh my gosh, all the hard work's paying off. Like they get it. But there's always which I think you need this early days. Like there's always a feeling of like, it could just completely go away. Like we always felt like, I don't know, maybe like Nike could just copy everything and then like the brand would go away. Yeah. And I think that stayed around for like several years. It's finally gone now, but it's like, there's this feeling of like anything could happen and it could just go away. Cause that did happen with COVID businesses.
Right.
And I think that also keeps you like driven and motivated to like keep innovating, keep your customers engaged, like and stay a lasting brand.
Also talking about celebrities, you do a lot of cool collaborations. Like I think you've done one with like Reese Witherspoon, Spanx, all sorts of things. Poochie. How do you decide those? How do you say no to some and yes to others? Or is it mostly you just reaching out?
I think we have like, at this point, collaborations are like a brand, like a pillar of ours, like a marketing pillar. It's like we've become known for epic collaborations. And so now the bar is really high and we used to, the criteria was like, what is really unique and exciting for our customers? But like, it could be, you know, had to be unique too. So it couldn't just be like an activewear line. But now the criteria is really like, well, yeah, what's going to make our customers super exciting? What's something that we've never done before? And we have really exciting ones, but we had the cutest. Now brands are getting really creative on how to ask each other to collab. Like we had a brand that we're going to collab with post on Instagram, both of our products together, and said, this isn't a hint to a collab post, but it could be if Bala picks up the phone, wink, wink. And then we talked to them, like, now we're going to do a collab.
That wasn't even a pre, like that was literally their ask.
That was their ask. It was the coolest thing because now we're going to work on something with them and then we can tie it all back to like, it's almost like a courtship. I'm like, this is cute.
That's cute. Cause in my head, I might see that and think, oh, they've already,
no,
this is good marketing. That's crazy.
I know. I was like, your marketing team needs a raise.
Like we went back to, you were an advertising major, you weren't in the creative, but you're creative and the brand is so creative. And it's such a point of view on your Instagram and your website and everything. And do you think that's because of the advertising background and just the people you were around?
Yes, I do. Because
did you have to work really hard at that? Or that's just...
I think that was our super strength. I think everyone has an unfair advantage to their brand or like their career. And like, it could be like you have money to try your brand, or you have like a manufacturing connect. But for us, our unfair advantage was that we were around creativity. And so we knew what creativity looked like.
Okay.
And even if I wasn't the one like shooting like a photo shoot, I knew how to pull that together. And I knew what looked good. So I think the super strength that we had was we knew how to market a product and branding, which helped with when we wanted Bala to really merge fashion and fitness. Like that helped with our creative direction.
Okay, so I want to talk quickly. I know you have a book coming out because you teased it.
Yes.
And it was all about bootstrapping a company to $100 million. Yeah, no big deal. And you have a podcast, Hot Takes, Big Stakes.
Yes.
And why this? Why is this important to you to talk to entrepreneurs? And I like it because you get real granular. Like this is lovely because the goal of this is to say, look at what this Longhorn did. A Longhorn did that, right? But you like to get real granular into your podcast.
Yes.
So why is that important to you?
Well, I think I'm still very much involved in Bala and building the brand. We have so much work to do, but you know, it's like, not that I've gotten bored. It's like, I wanted like another little creative outlet. And now I'm getting asked to be, you know, a mentor or hop on a call and someone pick my brain. And I don't have the bandwidth for that. So I was like, why don't I just like create a resource for people? Because I hate, you know, saying no, but it's like, I have 3 kids. I can't be taking calls. I like have to say no to most calls. And so basically my way of doing that, I was like, I'll do like a book and a podcast where I can dive deep and give people tactical advice. So it's like not necessarily, it's my resource, but my time is not needed. And so that's what we do on the podcast. And we wanted it to be, it's great. We have some story driven ones, which are great, but it's also like, we wanted to go deeper and give actual advice for like, even like middle to late stage founders that they could take away on what's worked for us, what hasn't worked for us. And then it all leads up to the book, which is called Bootstrap Empire. And it's a story about building the brand, but it's more of like a playbook on how we did it. So like, it's like, you're going to want your notepad out to be like, I'm going to download these e-com tools to like recreate what Bala did. And so it's us telling what didn't work for us and what did work for us, and also how to bootstrap along the way. Cause you know, that's what we did. And that's my preference. Cause I think you can build a profitable business that way.
What is the common theme amongst you and all the entrepreneurs that you chat with? What do y'all have in common?
I have learned so much from doing the podcast the last couple of months and meeting just crazy successful people in all categories. I think the common theme, you'd be shocked. Most people almost went out of business, including Bala. Like every big brand has had a moment where they truly should have gone out of business. And so I think persistence. And I also think grit and making it work, like grinding it out. Everybody had like a hustle era where they were either like shipping every unit by hand or picking up the phone to call customers or flyers around campus, like grinding it out. And that's what made it work. So I think it's not, I mean, the ideas are amazing too, but I think it's more about like the founder personality and like they are going to make it work.
Were you shipping things out by hand in early days?
Yes, we shipped, I think we saved 75,000 units out by hand before we
75.
got a warehouse. Insane. But that's like what I know now. I would never have done that. I would have had somebody else shipping them so I could focus on growing the business. But
well, sure. But now you know that.
You live, you learn.
Hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em
I just like
horns.
hook 'em.